Com a pandemia, os olhos voltaram-se para o setor da saúde. Temos connosco Nuno Barbosa, Senior Vice President Strategy Deployment for the Technology Group da Johnson & Johnson, num painel moderado por Miguel de Castro Neto, subdiretor na nova IMS. Nesta conversa vamos perceber como é que as ferramentas digitais impulsionam o extraordinário sucesso dos avanços na área de Human-Centered Healthcare no mundo pós-Covid e também o novo papel dos líderes de tecnologia no mundo em constante evolução. Nuno Barbosa também irá partilhar alguns insights práticos sobre o que é que podemos manter neste ritmo tão acelerado de inovação digital. Por favor, bem-vindos.
We solve big problems in healthcare through technology. Just as doctors use scalpes and stethoscopes, we use data science, algorithms, AI, and robotics to transform patients' lives. And we do it all with creativity and empathy to advance human health. Although the digital future cannot be predicted with precision, we can better position for it. We are a place where builders, innovators, creators, and thinkers join together to apply their talent for good. But we know that the world's greatest challenges will not be solved by one person, one team, or one company. We believe on the power of collaboration, and with our partners, we innovate to create new digital solutions that unlock the power of data and insights. Our credo lies at the heart of everything we do. We use technology ethically and with empathy for the good of humanity. We know that patients, healthcare professionals, consumers, and communities benefit from our company's embrace of digital technology and our focus on delivering the best end-to-end experience. As we adapt new technologies, we are augmenting our human capabilities because we know that without you, nothing would be possible. Together, we will shape the future of healthcare through technology. We are unstoppable. We are JJT.
Bom dia. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The session is on shaping the future of healthcare with technology. I'm really pleased to be here hosting the session with Nuno Barbosa. It's always good for us to know that we, the Portuguese, are able to go and conquer the world. And I think we are all going to be inspired by the journey that Nuno is going to share with us. Just before we start, I have to spend 1 or 2 minutes just to comment on the brilliant presentation of José Oliveira. So I also, I don't know, 15 years ago, saw the light of business intelligence, and since then it's been amazing what we have been doing in Nova Information Management School in the field of business intelligence and analytics. And I must take the opportunity to make a little bit of advertising, because for the last 4 years we have the Master on Business Intelligence that is being placed in the first position as the best master in the world in the field of business intelligence by Edu Universal. So this is a joint marriage between Nova Information Management School and BI4ALL, and we just recently have launched a joint laboratory in the area. Sorry for this, but no. I couldn't resist after hearing José Oliveira making his opening intervention. Nuno, you are in an area that is not just really critical for all of us, the health, but also working on building the future today. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How you started in Portugal, and nowadays you are, as you shared, already worked in 3 different continents. You are a member of the research board of MIT, so it's quite a journey until the moment that we are here today. It's really exciting to have this opportunity to talk with you. Nuno.
Well, thank you so much. And let me just switch to Portuguese just for one thing. Por acaso devem estar a achar estranho que eu estou a falar inglês nesta apresentação. Enquanto está o Miguel e o Nuno e somos os 2 portugueses. Na realidade, não só temos pessoas a assistir externamente, via virtual, e então alguns deles são estrangeiros, e por outro lado, custa muito falar de trabalho de Johnson em português. Então pedi para que a apresentação fosse em inglês para me ajudar pessoalmente e agradeço a vossa compreensão para isso. So let me switch to English. Yes, very proud Portuguese, born and raised in Portugal, and since my early career when I start working, actually my first internship was here, just outside this building in Renault Portuguesa, and I was there just for a few months, and then I went into different industries. I was 7 years in Sociedade Mineira Neves Corvo. I worked in insurance, I worked in construction, but then 24 years ago, I found my place in Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson, as you mentioned, is a healthcare company. It's very broad. It has 3 different sectors, one on consumer health, that is where most probably everyone knows the Johnson & Johnson products. When I joined J&J, I thought about shampoo, I thought about other baby products, things like that, not realizing that that's actually a very small part of the company. The biggest part of the company is actually our pharmaceutical business, and now it became very popular with the COVID vaccine, but before that, it was already responsible for 52% of the company. And then my journey has been primarily in medical devices until a few years ago, and medical devices is everything that you think about surgery and how we actually have tremendous impact in the area of orthopedics, the area of general surgery, or cardiovascular, and so on. We are an $82 billion business. We have 135,000 people around the world, and it's been a really a great journey. So what happened was, to your point, I started working for J&J in Portugal, and then soon enough, I realized that I needed to grow bigger than Portugal, and I moved to Spain. I was there for a few years. Then I started my first regional responsibilities with Austria, Switzerland, and then Middle East joined, then Egypt joined, then Central Europe joined, and the growth kept going. And then at some point, was like, hey, would you consider to come to the US as a development assignment and get me ready for becoming the CIO for Europe, Middle East, and Africa? That's what I've done. I went to the US. I was there for 4 years, and I came back to Europe. For 5 years, I was a CIO of Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then after that, I went back to the US as the CIO for North America. I was there a few years in that role, and then this new role came up around bringing the technology strategy for all Johnson & Johnson together, and I'm a pleasure to be in that role until now.
And I think now the question we should ask is, okay, you have been, shall we say, a witness, but also a protagonist of the digital journey that J&J has been making in the last few years, because I imagine that you saw it happen. You saw all of this that José Oliveira mentioned before happening in this worldwide company. What was the journey? What do you like to share about how it happened?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and actually I'm very happy to see the progression that we've done in this space. Johnson & Johnson is primarily what I call an analog company, right? So if you think about our products, most of them are analog products. But what we saw over time is that even if you have analog products, you need a digital companion that goes associated with it. If you think about the technology that start getting into the products, either embedded in the products or around the products, it starts to transform. But also how we need to change our company internally as well. In many of the business intelligence advancements that José Oliveira was speaking before. So with COVID, actually some magic happened. There is a silver lining associated with COVID, and this is how the companies had to adapt to truly transform themselves when the original business processes were completely disruptive. If you think about healthcare, it was a very human-to-human interaction. But with COVID, obviously, everything got extremely disruptive. For example, I was speaking with the CIO of one of the biggest healthcare systems in the US, and before COVID, telehealth was responsible for 8% of all their business. So think about 92% was all face-to-face, 8% was through telehealth. In the peak of COVID, that balance shifts to 95%. Think about it. 95% of all interactions with that healthcare system went remote, virtually. And obviously, that's not sustainable. We need to go to the hospital at some point. But I believe that the balance will be more around 50-50, and therefore, the digital transformation that we're seeing in the healthcare environment is going to be absolutely enormous, with not just digital capability, automation, machine learning, and so on. The second part, and now that we are here in BI4ALL, it's all about data. If you think about how data will become an asset, either if it's patient data, if it's personalized data, if it's data about our surgeries, our procedures, and how we can help doctors to become better in what they do, data will become an asset. And finally, it's about talent and skill sets. What you see, and thinking about the evolution of my journey in Johnson & Johnson, the skill sets that we needed in the past are not the skill sets that we're going to need for the future. And the change of pace is coming very, very strong. Like José was speaking about RPG, I was there at some point. I'm also at the same age or a little bit more. But before you said that, hey, you know what? RPG, 10 years. If I know RPG, I can be in market for 10 years, and that's fine. Well, today, if you think about the skill sets that we now have, they most probably will last 1.5 years, 2 years. And after that, you better catch up. So I think the skill sets and what we need to do in that journey is going to force a culture of continuous learning and making sure that we learn new skill sets every day.
I share that vision, even because I have this conviction that technology, the access to technology, is becoming more and more democratic and less expensive. So in the end of the day, the challenge is the human resources, if they are capable of taking advantage of that. And this digital transformation is just expanding the frontiers of possibilities of what we can do and how we can do it, creating new products and services.
And I'll give you 2 examples. And the slide has a lot of different other elements, but I'll speak about two examples in particular. One is in the area of personalized medicine. If you think about us as individuals, we are all different from each other. Yet the healthcare system has been, you know what? You have this particular disease, this is the treatment for you. And the treatment for Miguel may be very different from the treatment from Nuno because we are different people and we may have different outcomes. So if you think about personalized medicine, and for example, we are working in the cancer area with CAR T, where we actually can inject T cells into your blood or my blood and make sure that those T cells attack our personalized disease. But what does that mean is that it's actually a personalized supply chain from removing blood from the patient, injecting the T cells, and making sure that that same blood goes back to the same patient. And this is across multiple different parts of the supply chain. If the wrong blood goes into the wrong patient, obviously this can be truly devastating for the patient. Mm-hmm. So you need to think about how you start thinking about personalized medicine, but at the same time that you think about the supply chain and the data that flow from end to end to make sure that what was extracted from Nuno will come back to Nuno and not to Miguel, yeah. Right? So that's a really, really impactful thing that we're doing now, and obviously with tremendous results because this is personalized for you. The second part is actually digital surgery that I have tremendous passion about because before, if you think about surgery, you would sell products. You would sell a knee, for example. I have a problem with my knee, I'm going to sell you a knee. Now, if you think about new business models, you are actually going to be able to, I'm going to sell the fact that you are going to walk again without pain, that you can run a marathon if you choose to. But for that, you need to make sure that you're focusing on outcomes. You're not focusing on selling a product, you are actually selling the opportunity for you to run again. If that's the case, you need to reduce the variability of the healthcare system dramatically. And we have tremendous amount of variability, unfortunately. We say in Portuguese that more important than anything is that you are in good hands, right? Hey, make sure that you go to the right doctor, make sure that you go to the right surgeon. Well, why? Because there is variability in the system. If we can make everyone a little bit better, most probably the top people will continue to be top. But if you can improve the average of knowledge and outcomes, then you can have a tremendous impact in healthcare. So with digital surgery, what we're doing with augmented reality, with data, with all computer power that we now have available, is to augment the surgeon with opportunity to understand how, through all the data that we capitalize over the years, how he or she can perform that surgery much better.
Thank you very much, Nuno, because now I'm thinking I'm going to call J&J, because I run my marathons before a knee surgery,
Oh, yeah?
and it was the end of my running career. Having said that,
well, if it's not a joke. It's not a joke. We've now that I'm in Lisbon, I need to say this. We've done the Corrida de Ponte Vasco da Gama, and we invited people with new knees to run with us through the Ponte Vasco da Gama to show that you actually can run after a surgery.
But now I need some preparation.
The problem is not the knee, it's the rest. Yes, exactly.
But I would like, still in this context, one of the things that we referred, and making a link with something that was referred in the beginning of José's presentation, which was the social responsibility. You have mentioned that, in fact, we saw during COVID that there was a much higher percentage of remote medicine, telemedicine, whatever. And you think that probably will stick by 50% of that way of dealing with patients in healthcare. Do you think that is also an opportunity to believe that we will be able to provide healthcare services at a lower cost and to have this advance on human health, in the sense that we will be able to reach other people that in other way would be outside of the health system?
Absolutely. That's one of my passions, to be honest. It's about increasing reach and reduce cost to serve. So what happens today, if you think about healthcare, is that it's a human-to-human interaction, and therefore you need to have the right healthcare professional in front of you in order to be able to do whatever it's required. For example, we started to, in the healthcare system, not J&J by itself, but together with many partners, we're starting, for example, transform operating theater, OR, in an airplane, so you could fly the airplane to some places, remote places, so they could be treated. There is a company called Mercy Ships that is a boat that goes from continent to continent, and they prepare patients to get to that boat. But still, very analog, right? Imagine the cost of flying an airplane to a certain place, surgeons to be there, things like that, and so on, or the ship that needs to go on. If you think about telehealth, you start embracing a huge number of people. For example, in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and we think that we are here in Portugal, it's great, it's all Western Europe. If you think about this region, this particular region, there is still 1 billion people that they don't have access to healthcare. Think about that. If you go to Africa, if you go to some other, even in places in Europe, people don't have access to healthcare. If we can, through technology, make sure that you can reach those people, either for just evaluation, just diagnostics, or even now with digital surgery and other elements, that you actually can start performing surgery remotely. I know it's a little bit scary if the Wi-Fi goes down. Having said that, quite honestly, you now start seeing surgeons operating in one continent, and the surgery is actually happening in a different continent. And that's going to be transformational because, as I mentioned, patients are waiting, they don't have access to healthcare, And through digital and technology, we can improve that. We work a lot on our mission as a technology group for Johnson & Johnson, and we came with our new mission. And we say, we shape the future of healthcare by unlocking the power of people and insights. We shape the future of healthcare. And I think by shaping, what we mean is that we can make these things that you're saying possible, obviously not only by myself, or not only by ourselves, but with the right partners, we can make that change in healthcare.
And once that you mention your motto, shall I say, and refer shaping the future and people and insights. And insights bring us once again to the context of tomorrow, 21, here at BI4ALL. And if you could, you already referred some of the examples of what is happening with augmented reality, remote surgery, but if you could give us some examples on what's the focus now of J&J regarding the actual power that you have today in terms of analytics, in terms of using data to deliver insights in your area of expertise.
Cool. So 1 year and a half ago, we have a new global CIO for Johnson & Johnson, my boss, and we start working on what is our new technology strategy for the company. And we anchored in 3 pillars. First is, how do we modernize our technology ecosystem? So there is still a lot of legacy in Johnson & Johnson. We have 135 years of history. We don't have 135-year-old systems, but we have some old systems associated with that. So there is a specific need that we need to do to modernize our technology ecosystem, and I'll speak to you a little bit more about that because it goes into the insights. The second part is, how do we operate as a digital organization? And J&J, as I mentioned earlier, very analog company. To move to operate in a digital world, it requires different thinking, it requires different people, or the same people with new skill sets. So therefore, there is a significant amount of work that we're doing in how do we raise the digital literacy of the company, both on the IT organization, where we have 4,600 associates, as well as for all Johnson & Johnson with 135,000 people. But finally, the most important is that IT and technology, we don't exist just for the sake of IT. We exist because we want to accelerate business outcomes. And therefore, how can we make sure that we focus on the critical few that are going to have the biggest impact? But if I go back to your question, Miguel, what we thought was, as we think about modernizing our technology ecosystem, is that there are a stack of four different layers. Everything in the bottom, it's about creating that core digital foundation, that core foundation of infrastructure, cloud, cybersecurity, network, making sure that that infrastructure is solid. And we have made tremendous amount of progress on our cloud strategy, on our network strategy. Cyber became super, super relevant. Even now, as you think about the COVID vaccine, and Johnson & Johnson being one of the vaccine producers, everyone put the spotlight on our company, and therefore cyber was also one of our big focus. So that digital foundation, it's absolutely critical. But the second part is data, going back to your point. And data in Johnson & Johnson today reflects the big decentralization of the company. So what happens is that we have data in silos, and it's not accessible. So our strategy there is to make sure that we can democratize data, that it becomes accessible across all the value chain of the company, and that we can either consumer health, farm, medical devices, that we can start seeing collaboration between data sets of those different companies. For example, we are working in an initiative in lung cancer where there is tremendous opportunity for us to bring together our medical devices technology, together our pharma capabilities and consumer health, and making an end-to-end solution for our patients. Well, that requires data to go across, and we need to break the silos. The next layer is around platforms and products. So it's all the transactional systems on how all of that needs to operate. And we still have a significant amount of work to do with platforms and making sure that we have roadmaps for those platforms that can be sustained over time. But then the most important thing comes on the top. That is the decision science. And as you notice, we didn't call it data science. We call it decision science. And it was on purpose, because it's all about making the right decisions with the insights that can be generated through this stack. So our goal is that all the critical decisions of the company would be driven by models that could influence the right decisions through the stack from the decision science space.
No, I thank you very much, because one of the things that we say very often at Nova Information Management School is that we are providing information for decision making, because the end is lead to action. It's just, the end is not to deliver the information.
Exactly.
But having said that, and today this is becoming an important aspect, and this we didn't spoke about this before, because we need data. And we have now several regulations in Europe that are distinct from the regulations in the United States. And furthermore, you work in an area which is healthcare, where there is even more regulation.
Yeah.
What are the challenges when you are a player at a global scale that have to deal with all of this complexity regarding data, and considering that in the end of the day, you have moved into a data company because you use data to the products and services that you put in the market today?
Such a great question, Miguel. I feel that just because you can do it, it doesn't mean that you should do it. So for me, that's very, very powerful. We will have access to a lot of data, but regulatory systems are still trying to understand how can we use this data in the right way. And for me, you mentioned there is different regulations in different places, and for sure, Europe being one of the most strict ones. But those regulations exist for a reason. We like our privacy. We like to understand that whatever it's my data, I want to make sure that it stays contained with the access that I would like to provide. Having said that, there is tremendous amount of value to unlock the power of that data. But it can be anonymized data. So it doesn't need to be Nuno's data, Miguel's data, but there is this population that has this data that can start providing predictive analytics into the future. For example, biomarkers is going to be extremely important, because if you think about data from the past, but with your biomarkers that can start helping you understand what is my chances of evolving into a certain disease, that's going to be extremely powerful. The healthcare regulators, they're still struggling as well, because they want to achieve the best healthcare possible for those markets, at the same time that there's this conflict, right? I usually say that we all believe that electricity is a good thing. We are powered by electricity, but it doesn't mean that we're going to put the fingers in the electric plug, right? Because we know if we put the fingers in the electric plug, we're going to get burned. So data and regulatory, for me, it's the same thing. Data is a wonderful thing. Regulatory, it's definitely there for a reason, and I'm glad that exists, but it doesn't mean that we should not explore the opportunities of unlocking the power of data within the limitations that are put to us.
And as your slide states, we really believe that we are giving a contribution to a better future for mankind. And that leads us almost probably to the last question, which is, okay, you mentioned that one of the key pillars of strategy is how Johnson & Johnson continues to modernize your technology ecosystem, and how that is something that keeps on pushing forward the things that you are doing and where you are going to. Can you end up giving us this overall picture?
So I go back to this 4-layer stack that I spoke before, but I think for me, what's going to be even more and more important is where do we go from now, from here. As we were thinking before, there is significant amount of value of combining digital and technology to complement the products and solutions that Johnson & Johnson has out there. Either if it's technology that goes into the product. If you think more and more our, for example, medical devices systems, they are now intelligent systems, right? They have technology embedded in the product. Or it's an analog product, but it has a digital companion associated with that. For example, if I think, I was going to use an American example that could not relate really well here. But if
let's see.
Let's see. Well, Starbucks. Starbucks is very well known in the US. It's coffee, right? So there is nothing more analog than drinking coffee. But my experience with Starbucks, it's not the coffee, right? My experience with Starbucks now starts with this app. And I can order my coffee through here. I can pay my coffee through here. I can have my loyalty program with Starbucks through here. They already know what I'm going to order even before I get to the store, right? So coffee is a very analog product. Starbucks is not an analog company anymore. It's a true digital company. So think about what we could do with our products. For example, in Portuguese we say Neutrogena. In English it's Neutrogena. But we have Neutrogena light mask that starts creating what is the right treatment for your skin, personalized for you. But it's all around how you put technology into that product that understands your skin, right? So you start having really technology embedded in the product, or you have the digital wrapper around those solutions that are going to unlock the potential of those products for patients, for consumers, for our customers around the world. And I'm very passionate about that.
Okay, thank you, Nuno. I think I can open the floor for at least one question. I don't know if we have some questions from the audience.
You can ask in Portuguese if you want to.
If there is no question, I would go to this slide because it's in the footnote. It has a very important topic or pressure that we feel, which is this speed.
Yes.
The need to give the answers almost immediately to the problems that arise. And this is also something that is become more and more relevant. We saw with COVID that we all wanted real-time information about what was happening. And so, of course, in the health care sector, you also felt this pressure to deliver the solutions as fast as possible. Is that something that it's achievable? Is something that it's a challenge, or is something that we can think that we can have real-time solutions for the challenges we face?
It's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. And COVID was just an example of how you were able to reduce life cycles of initiatives that before they would take 5-6 years to come to market. And now you saw how different healthcare companies, not just J&J, were able to reduce that timeline significantly, dramatically. The other thing that we always say is that patients are waiting. Patients are waiting. So if we take 3-4 years to come to market, these are people that die because of that. I'm a huge fan of Queen. And obviously Freddie Mercury was one of my people that I really admire. And I just imagine that if he would have lived now, or if we would have the healthcare treatments then in 1980s that we actually have now, most probably Freddie Mercury would still be alive, right? Most probably no, he would still be alive, right? And he would live a very normal lifestyle with now patients with HIV are able to. Why? Because we made such more advancement in medicine in HIV that now you can live with a chronic disease. But all of this to say that patients are waiting. So everything that we can do to reduce the timeline in which we can make those treatments available to people, we're going to impact people's lives. And technology and insights are going to unlock that for us.
Thank you very much, Nuno. I think that ending with Freddie McReeves was quite a good idea, a good point. And maybe it could be one I just recently in my top, in my playlist, now I have a new hit from Diana Ross. So, well, the world is amazing. Thank you very much, Nuno. Thank you very much, José Oliveira, for the great event. And please, the people that are online, the 400 that are online, if you have the opportunity, please come here and visit this amazing space of BI4ALL, which is in fact an icon in Lisbon today. Thank you very much, Nuno. Have a nice tomorrow.
It was a pleasure. Muito obrigado.
Então, muito obrigada, Miguel e Nuno. Muitos parabéns por esta intervenção que muitas luzes nos deixou. Muito obrigada aos dois. Vamos agora iniciar uma pausa. Aproveitem para visitar os stands, fazer networking, reunir com especialistas e estaremos de regresso às 11h20. Até já!